Paul introduces us to other eyewitnesses of the resurrection of Christ. He founded his gospel on this fact, and in Galatians 2:6, he tells us his gospel was the same as was preached by Peter, James, and John. Peter, James, and John then believed with the same intensity that Christ rose from the dead. We have already seen that this testimony, as to John at least, is supported by what he himself has written in the Apocalypse. In consistency with the inference again, Paul explicitly declares in 1 Corinthians 15:3 that the risen Christ was seen not only by himself but by Cephas, James, and indeed all the apostles, and that more than once. Even more, he states that he was seen by over 500 brethren at once, the most of whom were still living when Paul wrote this letter, and whose witness-bearing he invokes. Here Paul brings before us a cloud of witnesses. In respect to them, the following facts are worth pointing out. These witnesses were numerous. There were at least 500 of them. They were not a mere unknown mob. We know somewhat of several of them, and know them as practical men. The most of them were still living when Paul wrote, and he could appeal to them to bear testimony to the Corinthians. The result of all of which is that this notice in 1 Corinthians is equivalent to their individual testimony. Paul is admitted to be a sober and trustworthy writer, this epistle is admitted to be genuinely his, and he here, in a contemporary document, challenges an appeal to living eyewitnesses. He could not have made this confident appeal had not these men really professed, soberly and earnestly, to have seen the risen Christ. We have then not only Paul claiming to be an eyewitness of the resurrection, but a large number of men, over 250 of whom were known to be still living when he wrote. We have to account not for the claim of one man that he had seen Jesus alive after he had died, but for the same claim put in by a multitude. Will any arguing that Paul sometimes saw visions serve our purpose here? And there is still another point which is worth remarking. The witnesses here appealed to are the original disciples and apostles of our Lord. From this, two facts follow. The one, the original disciples believed they had seen the risen Lord, and the other, they claimed to have seen him on the third day after his burial, 1 Corinthians 15:4. This, according to Paul, is certain fact. Then note once more, in the third place, that this testimony, as already pointed out, was not only absolutely convincing to the Apostle Paul, but it was so also to the whole body of Christians. Not only did Paul base the truth of all Christianity on the truth of this testimony and found his conversion on it, but so did all Christians. He could count on all his readers being just as firmly persuaded of this fact as he was. To the Corinthians, Galatians, Romans, this is the dogma of Christianity. When Paul wishes to prove his apostleship to the Corinthians or Galatians, he is not afraid to base it on the therefore admitted fact of the resurrection of Christ. 1 Corinthians 9:1, Galatians 1:1.